All right, let's go. Are you ready to dive into a world that's full of stealth and power? And a lot of really cool whiskers, too.
Sounds fun.
Today we're doing cougars. I'm already
Nice.
hooked, and I haven't even gotten started.
Yeah.
Um, you sent me this really cool YouTube video all about cougars.
Yeah, it's a good one.
And I've got to say, cougars, they embody adaptation.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
They're everywhere.
Yeah, they are.
They're in Canada all the way down to South America. That's a huge range.
You know, it's funny you mentioned adaptation, and it's true, because when you think about it, they live in all these different places.
Yeah.
They can exploit so many different types of environments,
They're
and that
not-
means they're not limited by food or climate
Yeah.
the way some other animals are.
Yeah, for sure.
It's a big advantage for them.
It's crazy. I mean, the video was saying that cougars hold the Guinness World Record
Oh, yeah, I saw that.
for the most names.
You can't keep track.
Yeah. Over 40 in English alone.
Wow.
But, I mean, beyond the names, what really struck me was how many habitats they can live in.
Yeah.
Mountains, forests, deserts. Even, they'll go near people sometimes, near settlements.
Yeah, that can be a problem.
It can be.
Yeah.
But, it really is incredible how they've managed to be so resilient
It is.
and survive in so many places.
Yeah, and, thinking about it, this all speaks volumes about how they've evolved, too.
Oh, yeah.
Being able to live in all these different places means that they've been successful over a long time.
Oh, yeah.
That's evolution in action.
It's true.
Yeah.
And it's like, they're not picky eaters either, are they?
No, not at all.
They'll eat anything.
They are opportunistic.
I know. I was watching that video. I was like, wow. They eat deer, porcupines, birds. I mean,
Anything they can get their paws on.
I know. It's like,
Yeah, and that's part of why they can live in all these different places, right?
oh, no.
Because they can eat all these different things. If they were stuck with just one food, they'd have to stay in one place.
I know.
But they can just travel around and
Right.
find whatever they want.
It is. It is. And they're apex predators in a lot of ecosystems.
Right.
Which, means they're at the top of the food chain.
That's right.
That's pretty cool.
It is.
So are there any, what other apex predators?
Well, it depends on where you are, right?
Oh, yeah.
Because they have such a wide range. They
Yeah.
have different competitors in different places.
Gotcha.
But some of the main ones are, you've got jaguars,
Yeah.
wolves, bears.
Oh, yeah.
It's a tough world out there.
It is.
But, they do a pretty good job at
Yeah.
surviving.
Yeah, so the video mentioned they tend to stay away from jaguars.
Right. Yeah, they're smart.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are they just like, oh, I don't want to mess with that?
Well, partly it's a size thing, Jaguars are,
Yeah, jaguars are, they're stocky.
yeah, they're much stockier. More powerful than cougars.
Mm-hmm.
So it makes sense for them to kind of stay out of their way.
Right, right.
But it's also about resources, right?
Gotcha.
They don't want to be fighting over the same food all the time.
Makes sense.
It's better to avoid that competition,
Right.
kind of have their own space.
Yeah, stay in your lane
Yeah, exactly.
so that you don't risk getting hurt
Right.
or, wasting energy
Yeah.
fighting.
Exactly.
Exactly.
That's a good strategy. I mean, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, it's worked for them so far.
I mean, they're still around.
Yeah,
Well,
exactly.
something's working.
Millions of years of evolution.
I know. It
Yeah.
is. It is. It's like I don't know. It's fascinating how they've managed to really carve out their own little space,
Yeah.
to minimize that conflict.
Yeah, they're good at that.
So they're not always top dog, though, right?
No, definitely not.
Because they still, have to deal with, wolves and bears in some places.
Oh, yeah, especially in North America.
Where wolves and bears are more common,
Yeah.
they definitely have some competition there.
So, how do they deal with that?
Well, that's where their behavior comes in, right?
Yeah.
They're very flexible
Oh, wow.
in how they behave.
Really?
Yeah, so sometimes they'll just yield to a
Well,
larger predator.
So they're smart enough to be like, hey, you're bigger than me. I'm out of here.
Exactly.
Wow.
They know when to pick their battles.
That's amazing.
Yeah, they don't want to get hurt.
Yeah.
It's all about survival, right?
Right.
And they've gotten really good at it.
Wow. It really is a delicate dance of survival out there, isn't it?
It is. Yeah, nature's a tough place.
Oh, I know. It is. It is. The video is showing me all about their incredible jumping skills.
Oh, yeah, they're amazing jumpers.
40 feet, they can jump horizontally.
I know, it's unbelievable.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, and that's one of their main hunting strategies, right?
I know.
Ambush. So cool.
They'll wait. And then...
They just pounce. And those big leaps really help them catch their prey.
It's so cool.
But what's even cooler is that they can change how they hunt depending on where they are.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So in a dense forest,
Right.
they might not do these big 40-foot jumps.
Gotcha.
They might rely more on like short bursts of speed and
Well,
agility to weave through the trees.
okay.
Yeah, so they're very adaptable
That's
in their
amazing.
hunting strategies.
I mean, just in general, I mean, it makes you think, though, what would it be like to come across a cougar in the wild?
It would be scary.
I'd be a little freaked out, I think.
Yeah, I think most people would.
Yeah, I mean, the video is talking about, I think it's a common fear that a lot of people have,
Oh, for sure.
to encounter a cougar in the wild.
Yeah, I mean, they are predators, and they're big,
Yeah.
and they have sharp teeth.
So it's understandable.
So it makes sense to be a little afraid of them.
Right. But,
It's important to remember that they actually very rarely attack humans.
oh, wow.
It's very, very uncommon.
Really? I mean, the video is saying that, too.
Yeah.
They pretty much would much rather stay away from us, right?
Oh, absolutely.
It's just they don't see us as food.
Yeah, that's part of it.
Gotcha.
But it's also their personality, right?
Okay.
They are solitary creatures.
Oh, okay.
They like to be alone,
Gotcha.
except during mating season, of course.
Yeah, of course.
But for the most part,
Yeah.
they're loners.
So they just want to chill by themselves.
They want to do their own thing,
Right.
and they've evolved to do that really well.
Yeah.
Minimizing risks, staying out of trouble,
Makes sense.
and that includes avoiding humans.
Right.
Yeah, we're more trouble than we're worth to them.
Yeah, they're like, nope, not dealing with that.
Exactly.
That's funny. I mean, so it's like, it's not that they're aggressive. They just,
Right, they're not out to get us. They're
Mhm.
just really good at assessing risks.
Oh.
And they've figured out that humans are more trouble than they're worth.
we're not on the menu.
No, we're not on the menu.
That's good to know. I mean, I feel a little better knowing that.
Yeah, I think we all do.
I mean, it's really, I don't know, it makes you appreciate their smarts, doesn't it?
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, they've figured out how to live in a world with humans
Yeah, it's impressive.
and just be like, I'm good.
Yeah, they know how to stay out of our way for the most part.
And this whole thing about being solitary makes me think about their communication.
Oh, yeah, that's a fascinating topic.
Yeah, because they're alone so much.
Yeah.
So how do they communicate with each other?
Well, they've had to develop some pretty intricate ways to do that
Okay.
since they're not always in close proximity.
Gotcha.
So, things like scent marking,
Yeah, the video was showing.
leaving their scent.
Yeah, they were like rubbing up against trees and stuff.
Exactly. That's how they tell other cougars, hey, I'm here.
This is my territory.
This is my territory. Stay out.
Stay away.
But
Yeah.
they also have some pretty incredible vocalizations.
Oh, yeah, those were so cool. What were those?
Yeah, they make all sorts of sounds.
I don't know, was it yowls and
Yowls, growls, purrs.
like chirps almost?
Yeah, some of the sounds are almost bird-like, especially between mothers and cubs.
Oh, that's so cute.
Yeah, it's really sweet.
So it's not just your stereotypical roar.
No, it's much more complex than that.
That's amazing.
Yeah, they have a whole vocabulary of sounds.
Yeah, it's like they're speaking another language.
Yeah, and it makes sense when you think about it, right?
Yeah.
They need to be able to communicate over long distances,
Yeah.
sometimes through dense vegetation.
Yeah.
So those sounds have to be able to travel
Right.
and be distinctive enough for other cougars to understand.
It's crazy how it's all evolved.
Yeah, it's pretty incredible.
I mean, speaking of crazy, how about these puma pards?
Oh, yeah. That was a surprise, wasn't it?
Puma pards?
I mean, yeah. So, a puma
Yeah.
is a cougar,
Yeah.
and they can actually hybridize with leopards.
Really?
Yeah, it's pretty unusual,
Wow.
but it does happen.
And that's what you call a puma pard?
Exactly.
What? I've never even heard of that.
Yeah, it's not very common.
But the video is saying they experience dwarfism.
Yeah, that's one of the interesting things about these hybrids.
What?
They often don't grow to be as big as either of their parents.
So they're like half the size?
Yeah, sometimes even smaller.
What?
It's kind of a genetic quirk,
That's so strange.
Yeah, hybridization can have some unexpected results.
It's like a genetic puzzle.
Exactly.
It's so wild. I mean, and speaking of genetics, there are actually 6 recognized subspecies of cougars, right?
Right. Yeah, the video mentioned that briefly.
Yeah, I'm really curious to learn more about those.
Yeah, that's a great topic.
I mean, what makes each one unique?
Well, there's a lot to unpack there.
I know.
Each subspecies has its own story to tell.
Let's do it.
Yeah, let's dive in.
I'm excited.
Me too.
So 6 subspecies? That's a lot.
It is.
I mean, what even makes something a subspecies?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Is it just like a regional thing?
It kind of is, yeah.
Duh.
It's like, imagine you have a species, right?
Okay.
And then within that species,
Uh-huh.
you have these groups that have developed some unique characteristics
Gotcha.
because they've been separated somehow,
Yeah.
I mean, geographically, or the environment is different.
Gotcha.
And so they start to change a little bit.
Okay.
And those changes over time can become significant enough to where
Yeah.
we call them a subspecies.
So they're not a totally different species.
Right, not yet.
But they're on their way.
They're on their way, potentially.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, so it's like regional adaptations
Okay,
that
man.
haven't quite reached the level of speciation.
I like that, regional adaptations. So it's like almost like regional dialects in a language.
That's a great analogy.
Yeah. They're still the same language, but they sound a little different.
Exactly.
Okay, I get it.
And with cougars, these dialects, so to speak, might be like slight differences in their size or their color, or even like how they behave.
Okay.
So for instance, you mentioned the Florida panther earlier, right?
Yeah.
That's one of the subspecies of cougars.
Okay.
And it's a lot smaller
Oh, really?
than some of the cougars that live out west.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and it's got this distinctive kinked tail
Oh, yeah.
that you don't see in other subspecies.
Yeah, I've seen pictures of them, yeah.
Yeah, they're pretty unique.
Yeah, and I remember I was reading something that they're not doing so well, are they?
Unfortunately, no. The Florida panther is critically endangered.
Oh, no.
Yeah, it's really sad.
Is it just because of humans?
It's mostly habitat loss, yeah.
Oh, well.
You know, people building houses and roads and all that kind of stuff. It fragments their habitat.
Oh, okay.
Which means their populations get isolated.
Gotcha.
And that makes them vulnerable to things like disease
Yeah.
and genetic problems because they're not interbreeding as much.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So there are conservation efforts going on
Okay, that's good.
to try and help them.
Yeah.
But it's a tough battle.
Oh, it's a reminder that even though, we're talking about cougars, and as a species, they're doing all right.
Right.
There are some populations that aren't.
Yeah, exactly. It's important to remember that it's not just about the species as a whole, but also about these individual populations that might be facing unique threats.
So we really have to, I guess, really understand like the details, right? Like within the species.
The nuances are important.
Yeah, not just like the broad strokes.
Exactly. The big picture isn't always the whole story.
It's like, okay, cougars, check. But then it's like, well, wait a minute.
Right.
There's more to it than that.
Exactly. There's always more to the story.
Yeah, that's true. And all this stuff makes me think about those situations where cougars, they'll come into like human settlements and stuff.
Right. Yeah, that can be a problem.
Yeah. I mean, like, what do we do about that?
Yeah, it's a complex issue. You know, I think the video mentioned farmers and livestock.
Yeah.
That's a common conflict.
Yeah. I mean, it's like, well, on the one hand, it's their territory. I mean, we're kind of encroaching on their space.
Absolutely. Yeah, we're building into their habitats.
Yeah.
And that's going to create some overlap and some conflict, inevitably.
But then it's like, well, we're trying to protect our livestock.
Right, of course.
So it's like, what's the solution?
It's a tough one.
Yeah.
There's no easy answer.
So what do we do?
Well, I think a big part of it is understanding their role in the ecosystem.
Gotcha.
Cougars are actually really important for keeping prey populations in check. So they help to control things like deer populations,
Right.
which can actually benefit farmers.
Really?
Because too many deer can damage crops.
Oh, okay.
So it's kind of a double-edged sword.
Yeah, so it's like we're trying to protect livestock, but then they're helping us.
Exactly. They're providing a service by controlling other animals.
Right. So it's like finding that balance between like, okay, we got to protect what's ours, but also recognizing that they're doing something good.
Understanding the whole picture.
Yeah.
And I think behavior is really key here, too.
Yeah. I forgot.
The video mentioned that they're crepuscular.
Oh, yeah. What's that again? I always forget.
Yeah, it's a fancy word.
Yeah.
But it just means they're most active at dawn and dusk.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So that's when they're most likely to be out hunting.
So they're like those twilight hunters.
Exactly.
Like, okay, the sun's setting, time to go get some food.
They're taking advantage of that low light for hunting. Their eyesight is really